Today we're going to be looking at how religion creates a male-centered or a pick-me mother or woman. Now, as we all know, a male-centered woman or a pick-me woman is a woman whose entire worldview and whose life is centered around the approval of a man. She can do anything and everything for the approval of a man. And we're going to be linking that to religion and how religion creates a male-centered woman who eventually becomes a mom and becomes a male-centered mom. Now, before we get into the clip for today, I want us to first of all understand that religion itself, let's talk about Christianity now being the case study, is a religion that is centered around men. As the religious God, as the Christian God, is a male entity first of all. This is also a religion that never holds men accountable for their actions, for their wrongdoings. There are lots of examples which I'm not going to be getting to in this video, but we've heard of cases where a man is not being a good husband to his wife, and she reports to the religious heads in whatever religion they practice, and she's told to pray harder for the man. The man is not held accountable for his actions. Rather, the woman is told that she's not praying enough. Her mom tells her this. The women in their religious circle tells her the same thing. She's not praying enough. She needs to pray more. They would rather blame the devil instead of blaming the human, the full-blown adult that is supposed to be responsible for his actions. Let's watch this clip together.
I saw another creator on this app say that every highly religious woman that she knows is also very male-centered. And it just hit me. It hit me that I'm like same. So I grew up in a very religious household, and I have actively been deconstructing all of that. And something that I realize is, yes, every super religious woman I know always put a male on a pedestal. Yeah. Male, male, male. For example, when I found out years ago that my marriage had infidelity, I found out about cheating. The day I found out, I called the wife of a pastor, a family friend we had, and it was actually a pastor who had known my husband for years and grew up with him. And so I called the wife of this pastor because I was like, she's gonna have the best advice, and I was just feeling panicked. I was also pregnant at the time, and I was just like, what do I do? So I called her and I told her the situation. I told her what had happened, and she told me, she goes, right now in this moment, you need to fall down on your knees and you need to start praying for your husband. And she started telling me about all the things I needed to do for him in that moment. She was like, this is an attack on your marriage from Satan. She kept talking about this attack from Satan. And
like I said, never holds the man responsible for his actions. It's always blamed on an entity. It's always blamed on Satan. It's never the man's fault for whatsoever wrong thing he does. Like, isn't it obvious that these religions were created to subjugate women? They have their foundations rooted in the patriarchy. Religion is an extension of the patriarchy. Of course, I went to church. If you look at the teachings of the Bible, it tells the woman that God is the man's head and the man is your head. Literally, what they teach them in church is obey the man and let him lead you blindly. There's a video that went viral some months ago, that where a preacher was trying to give an analogy to women of how they should follow their husbands blindly. So his example was, your husband is like a driver and you a passenger in the car. You're seated with him, but he's the one driving. Now you look across the road and there's a ditch in front of you and your husband is driving into the ditch. You're not supposed to stop him. That you're supposed to be telling your husband, you're supposed to signal to him, honey, husband, there's a ditch in front of you. I think we should slow down. I think we should slow down. He said you don't have the right as a Christian woman to stop your husband from getting into the ditch. That if you did, like, according to him, you should let him drive both of you, that he knows what he's doing. And if he drives both of you into the ditch, if you survive it, by the time both of you come out of the ditch, he would have learned his lesson. Imagine the psychosis. I can't imagine sitting down and listening to this kind of thing. Like, imagine the kind of teachings that they teach women in churches. How would you even have a good self-esteem listening to this? And this is why religious women are so male-centered. All they know about is marriage, children, man, my husband said, my husband did this, my husband said that. They don't have a life outside of their husband. Imagine a man teaching you this kind of thing. I don't even trust men enough to listen to what they have to say, their advice, not to talk of teaching me what I should do in marriage. Men are very selfish, so of course they want to teach you things that favor them, that would make you serve them and be a servant to them. This is the foundation of what they teach them in church. So yeah, most male-centered women are the ones that carry these types of teachings that were founded in patriarchy, that were taught to them by their male pastors, by a God that is obviously male. The Christian God is a male God. A religion that never holds men accountable. So yeah, like religious people are never basing this allegation. Male-centeredness is highly rooted in patriarchy. I've never seen a very religious woman that follows religion, scriptures in and out that is not male-centered. I remember when I was little, when I used to go to church, when I used to follow my parents to church, I remember every Sunday, or most Sundays, how they would call out the single women out and tell them to kneel down so they can pray for them to have husbands. They made women that were single look like they were plagues, as if not having a husband is some kind of disease. You're diseased. You're not normal. You're not like it is some disease. It's such a bad thing that every opportunity they have, they would try to rid you of that Satan that is holding you back from having your husband, your breakthrough. And you would see women crying, feeling like God has abandoned them, going to church, it still happens till now. Women go to church from one ministry to another, praying for your husband. And as a girl, as a little girl, it never made sense to me because I'm like, is this husband thing that important? When men are like a free commodity that we're literally trying to run from them. As a teenager, we're literally trying to run from male attention. That is what you're praying for and crying. Like your life depends on it. Like this is the grooming that women have been groomed through in church. And it's a wrong mentality that needs to be corrected. Anyways, let's keep on watching.
And how it was Satan and it was an attack, and like literally he had no responsibility. Basically it was just Satan attacking our marriage, and that I needed to start praying for him and rallying around him and supporting him. And it was bizarre to me looking back on that advice. I was like, that is insane. And then it hit me that growing up, a lot of the women's conferences that I would go to with my mom were male-centered. All the advice was like, how to be a better wife, how to be better for your husband, how to be a better woman for your man.
And they never hold those kinds of conferences to teach men how to be better husbands. Yeah. It's always the women. The women don't count in the grand scheme of things. The women are beneath the men.
All of it was based around that. And that explains why I grew up thinking that my worth was connected to a man. The reason why after college I was like, I gotta get married, I gotta get a man. Because everything was tied to that. It's like your purpose and your life is to serve a man and for a man. That is literally what we are told in church. And it explains why so many of us have a hard time being individuals and decentering men. And if you think about it, it all ties in because religion centers a man. They center a male God who you're supposed to spend your entire life dying to yourself to serve this person. And I still struggle to this day just purely centering myself, because for so many years it was like, no, that's selfish. You need to make sure that it's God. And then when it's not God, if it's your husband.
This is so personal to me because I can relate to what you're saying. I dealt with this growing up. Imagine feeling guilty that you're putting yourself first. Because all your life, I'm not trying to bash the Christianity or anything like that. I'm bringing out facts here, and I know this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but the truth is the truth. This affected me personally as a child growing up. All my life, I was taught that putting yourself first was selfish. It teach you that your desires, your needs are a sin. You're supposed to put what God says first. And what does God teach concerning your life as a woman? Your husband is your head. Aside God, your husband is your head. So they don't just tell you this just because they want to teach you. If you like, learn it. If you like, don't learn it. They are ingraining this and indoctrinating you into this doctrine from a young age and making you forget yourself, making you have low self-esteem, making you have a low sense of worth, making you feel like you don't matter. The things you like do not matter. You as a woman, you don't matter. All that matters is your God and your husband, which is the head, which God has instructed you. So yeah, it is deeper than we think. It's way beyond just fables and just calling it religion. Like, let us call it what it is. It is patriarchy. Religion has its roots in patriarchy. It's a religion that does not rate women. Women are the least in the hierarchy. Because how would you center yourself and how would you know your worth if your religion is teaching you that the man is your head? What he says goes. God is the head. God is instructing you to follow your husband. Follow him blindly, even if he's leading you to your death. Even if he's cheating on you, even if he's treating you badly, it is not him. He is your head. Keep quiet and pray for him. Never holding this man accountable. Every day you're trying to please your husband because you feel like in pleasing your husband, you're pleasing God. So it is a terrible teaching that we need to start deconstructing. We need to start teaching the newer generation that it is a lie. In the Christian gathering, it is a taboo for you as a woman to be single unless you're of course a reverend sister. In Pentecostal gatherings, of course, which was where I grew up, it was a taboo for you to be by yourself, not procreating, not under a man. Till today they teach them that it is a taboo. Like, as a woman, you're not supposed to be by yourself. It's not, as a woman, you don't even have a say in your life. It is from your father's hand to another man's court. You are never going to have autonomy. You're never in that religion. You're never going to have autonomy. You're never going to be taught that you're enough, that you can do things by yourself and live a fulfilled life as a human being. You're going to be taught to always to pander to the needs of a man, to always want a husband, to always want a man in your life. And they will teach you that you're not enough by yourself. And this is what most of our mothers grew up with. This is the religion most of our mothers live by. And till they die, they are never going to understand. That's why I don't even waste my time anymore. I don't waste my time. If you're an older woman, you still carry this mentality. I don't even have time. Like, I don't try to talk to you. I don't try to convince you or try to teach you or anything, because they will never understand this. Imagine living years and years and learning this and living by this. This is their lifestyle, obviously. Any other thing that opposes this is the devil. They are patriarchy princesses. They live for the patriarchy. And this is how a male-centered woman is created. And this is why a woman would have a husband and her child, her girl child, is telling her that she's been abused. It gets deeper. Yeah. A girl child will be telling her mom that your husband is sexually abusing me. And the mom would blame the child and tell her to cover up more. In most cases, she would chase her out of the house just so that she can have her husband. Because according to her, according to the Christian God, her husband is her covering. Her husband is her crown. Without the man, she is nothing. So she would support her pedophile, abusive husband over her girl child. Let's watch this story together.
Having a pick-me mom is dangerous because, you know, they're going to always seek male validation, and if the man in your life is not somebody who is kind to children, or, you know, maybe that person has this mentality that they don't want, you know, you came with children and they don't want to be a step parent, or, you know, whatever. That happens more often than not. You'll see, and you know, we see a lot of extreme cases like on the news and stuff, but you know, a lot of things don't ever even make it to the news. A lot of the cases, people have to just grow up with the trauma of the abuse, and kind of just constantly wondering, you know, why this is happening. And that's kind of something that, you know, I remember being a kid, and my stepfather, when growing up, was It's weird. It's like they took turns, honestly. But my stepdad, as a very, very young girl, he was the more like physically abusive one. They were both emotionally and verbally abusive towards me my whole life. But he was the one that did most of like the physical abuse as a kid.
And that's the thing about these male-centered women. They don't care. The man is always first in their life. She just said her stepdad was physically and verbally abusive and her mom kept quiet. Her mom supported it, as a matter of fact. This is what is very common amongst male-centered mothers, because they would support their husbands. They would stand by their husbands through whatever thing he's doing, because he does no wrong in their eyes. He's the head, of course. He's their crown. So they would literally do anything to appease the man at the cost of their kids, of course, just to appease the man, because all they do is cater to the needs of their husband. How would a sane woman that is mentally okay let another man that is not your kid's father mentally and physically abuse your child, and you're watching them and you're keeping quiet? That is a woman that does not even value her own self.
But once I became a teenager, he kind of fell back and she just really took over. That's also when she became like reborn. So everything became a sin.
Born again.
But yeah, it was
Christian
woman.
Woman.
Wild. And I remember being a kid and not really understanding, right, like kind of why. Because sometimes my stepdad did things, honestly, like it was more like sadistic. Like it wasn't discipline. He did it for pleasure. And I remember being a little girl and just crying, and I had been beaten, and kind of wondering, why this was happening. Why me? Why was this my life? And, a couple of days later after that, I remember, my mom was also, I had to like tippy toe, right? Like, she was like, she had her moments where I felt like I was able to speak to her more clearly. And then she would just kind of flip the switch on me. And then there was just like crazy rage. And you just never knew when that was going to happen. So I honestly had to like really watch myself. And to this day, I cannot be around people who make like sudden movements. I get terrified, because it's that moment of calmness and still, and then somebody just flips, and you just don't know when that's going to happen. But I remember that moment very vividly, because a couple days later, after he had beat me, I kind of approached her and I asked her why she allowed this, right? Like, she saw what was happening. Why did she always side with him, knowing that this wasn't okay, or like it wasn't okay? And her response was that I would one day start my own family, and I would one day leave her. And in the Bible, it was said that, your husband comes first, even before your kids. And so because one day I was going to start my own family and leave her, he had to be more important than me, regardless of what he was doing. And so, yeah, it was this idea that like, he's never going to leave me, and I have to put so much work and emphasis on him, because you're just kind of temporary. And God says that he's supposed to come first. And I kind of just stood there and was like, okay.
Imagine hearing that from your own mother. Just imagine the delusion coming out of a mother's mouth to your own daughter. This is an example of a woman that has zero self-esteem, does not love herself, is obviously delusional, and is following a teaching that is dangerous, a very dangerous and self-deprecating teaching, because obviously she's going to lose her child. And that man, if she does not end up leaving that man at the end of the day, he is going to leave her. She thinks he's not going to leave her, really. But this kind of man that you're the only one pandering to his needs is obviously a user. And when he's done with you, he's going to leave you. A man that has seen that you don't even value your own self, you don't even value your own child. How would that kind of man value you? Most of these women, they go for men that don't even want them. And so they try to do everything for this man. Half of the time, these men are the most bottom barrel type of men in society. The kind of men that these kind of women go for. They now uplift the horns of men that don't even deserve that kind of praise or that kind of level. It's usually low value men that these women go and start making them feel like they are some god or they are some important entity. Because obviously there's no high value man that would go for a male-centered woman, a woman that doesn't even love herself. Obviously he's just trying to use, he's only a user. Those bottom barrel men that would go for this kind of women because he wants to use you, and he's going to be there as long as he's enjoying the advantages. And when he's done with her, he's going to leave her. He's obviously going to leave her. Which man would respect a woman that doesn't put herself first? I've not seen any man that is actually really worth being with, that would want to be with a woman that does not know her worth, that puts him first, that puts him above her own child. This is how religion has scarred women. This is how religion is a tool by the patriarchy to indoctrinate women and subjugate women into servitude, into being male-centered, into serving the patriarchy. And women, we need to understand that this is a teaching that is going to scar you. This is wrong. We need to understand this, and we need to save ourselves. We need to save the next generation. We need to understand and deconstruct these social constructs that has been built to subjugate us as women. Unless you don't want to be free, unless you don't want to have your freedom and your autonomy as a woman. So yeah, like, we need to understand that this is how it operates. This is where it starts from, and this is how they cage women into believing this bullshit, into serving men, into servitude, into believing that men are superior to women. So yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section, and I'd like to know if any of you grew up with this kind of teachings and how you were able to deconstruct these kinds of teachings. And in case you've not deconstructed this kind of teachings, this is what this platform is about. On this platform, we talk about issues like this that affect women, that society has for long used to subjugate women. And on that note, we've come to the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Stay blessed, stay safe, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel in case you're not subscribed. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. And of course, share your comments down below in the comment section. And let us kindly keep it respectful down in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.